And then we got automated market maker in Q1 2022, which means we'll have automated market.
Yes, I saw that. I think Bilal mentioned that to me. I wanted to get a hold of them because I wanted to see they're not released yet, and I wanted to be able to see if I can invest early with Algomin as well.
Yeah, the combination of those two is going to be a very sweet mix.
Yes, the connection between the two can be super interesting. Liquidity, like real decentralization with Algodex, that would be huge. Legal too, which is interesting. Like in legal frame, they're working hard with lawyers. The hardest part when you build a DEX, that's amazing.
Yeah, especially since he's building in America, like he can have all kinds of like angel investors, and like you said, it's going to be like legal to like the highest government point, especially in America.
Who's building that?
Alex is. I will post his Twitter in the feed.
Do you want to speak to him now? Yeah, I had to move to my cell phone. It wasn't working on my computer for some reason, so I'm on the cell.
Hey everyone.
Hi, how are you doing? Who is it from Reach? Is it Chris or somebody else?
Oh wait, let me. I'll connect with my normal account. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I posted Alex's account in Bilal's post that you can check out from this Twitter space.
I don't see it.
You just got to go to like where he's like, we're live now, and then you'll see it like in the comment section.
Okay, I'm back.
Awesome. How are you doing, Chris? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. There's a few things I'd love to actually chat about today.
Ooh.
Tell us everything.
Do tell. Do tell.
Sure. So I got a little bit revved up today, just because so there's a new NFT marketplace on the in the world right now, and in the algo world, and I think they're amazing. They didn't use Reach, which I think that they should have, and I think that they will. But one of the things that they really did do is they're using application NFTs rather than ASA NFTs, and there's a few people in the community that really started ragging on them very hard about not using ASA NFTs, and I called them out on it. But I'd love to, if anybody is wondering what I'm even talking about, let me know.
Is that Darth Room?
Yeah, it's definitely Dark Room, man.
Yeah, Dart Room. Dart Room is the NFT marketplace that says using application NFTs, and it's awesome.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I don't know who said what, but it doesn't matter. Like in great scheme of things, their voice don't count at all if they cannot understand how valuable it is.
Yeah, that's the main point here. I want to make is that there's so much room in this space to do things differently. Like a couple of comments I read was, if they're not ASA, they're not an NFT, which is just poppycock.
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is the question is what is an NFT? And all an NFT is a online representation of ownership. That is the definition of NFT. How it's technically implemented doesn't matter. And the more ways that something can be technically implemented, the more innovative the space will be, and there will be more options. So just what I really want to say is that if you see toxicity out there, no matter if it's in the community, against the community, speak up and say something, because there's no room for that in this space. Like everybody is building cool stuff, and the more people that build, the better.
Agreed.
Yeah, totally agreed. Yeah. Could you Chris explain us a little bit more about the
We agree as well.
possibilities that
Hello, everybody.
can
It's
bring?
Ryan and Jasmine at Just Bloom. We're out and about,
Hi,
so we might not be able to
Jasmine.
speak
Hey.
very much. But we also saw Dart Room, and we really like what they're doing. We think it's really cool.
Yeah. So really, what it is that there's an NFT. By the definition of this NFT is, like I said, on-chain ownership, on-chain representation, or ownership on-chain, and how that's actually implemented currently so far with many different marketplaces and NFT mentors is using the ASA protocol implementation, making it so that you implement, or you generate, or you create a new token. You make it not divisible, so that there is no decimal points for it, and you can actually limit the number of tokens to be 1. And then what you do is then you put in the metadata of the actual tokens that's generated a pointer to the whatever is the thing that you own, and then whoever actually possesses the ASA is technically the owner. And that's the actual technical representation of how the ASA NFT works. Now, the application NFT works differently. Rather than using the ASA feature into the actual protocol, you use teal, and you use applications to hold state. And you designate in the actual state of the contract who the actual owner is, and you can also put in the pointer to the thing that you own. It's actually very similar to how the two works. It's just using it different features, and there are actually pros and cons to each one. The pros of using an ASA is that you can actually, it's really easy to display the ASAs that you own inside of a Algorand wallet currently. So you can see, like, you own this one ASA right directly in your wallet without any added features. The downside, though, is you have to actually opt in to any NFT before they can actually send to you, which is one of the steps that people have been complaining about. I think Yieldly recently called it out, something that's they wish there was something around. The other downside to ASAs is that they're very, very difficult to program in a decentralized way. Like, say you want to add in royalties, or you want to add in a decentralized auction system on the actual NFT itself. It's very difficult to do, and honestly, I would have to think really hard to do it in a truly decentralized way. Building the application NFT, they don't automatically show up in your traditional Algo wallet. You'd have to use a new interface to be able to display all of your NFTs, or the NFTs that somebody else owns. But you have much, much more flexibility as far as the actual functionality of that NFT. I know of a team right now that is actually building out not only royalties that are actually baked into the NFT itself, so that every single transaction the original creator would be able to receive a portion of it, but you'll be able to do things like you'll be able to actually tokenize the future royalties of an NFT, and make it all completely decentralized. And you can make it so that you can force that that you can't actually you could do some things like, say, I'm going to send Bob this NFT, but I can't send it directly to Bob. What I have to do is I have to initiate a auction system to actually enforce price discoverability, so that people can't cheat the system and force a low trade to cheat the royalties. But all of this functionality can be actually built into application NFTs, and right now with the current system couldn't be built in with ASA. So like I said, there's benefit both ways, and there is a world where both exist, and pushing somebody else because they didn't build it in a way that you wanted them to build it is silly.
It is completely silly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if we deserve to be criticized. We just ignore them sometimes. It's easier.
So, well, first, maybe if we wanted to use like other tokens in these NFTs, like in this new interface, like you're saying, would there like have to be like an escrow built for it or something like that?
So I don't fully understand your question. Could you maybe rephrase it in a different way?
Yeah, kind of like you said, it's on a different interface, so we're still going to be able to see everything like through the normal blockchain and everything else like that.
Correct.
Because like I know like some things like a Yieldly, for instance, I'm not quite sure how it works though, so I could be outspoken myself completely here. But we're still going to be able to see everything like the normal Algo Explorer, even though it's going through like the smart contract interface.
Yeah. I mean, everything is on the blockchain. You can actually see state of smart contracts through Algorand Explorer. But let's actually talk about something new. What is a wallet? What is a crypto wallet?
Essentially, it's like wouldn't it be just like a way of identification of your what you own? Just a way to add a signature and a recipient address to it.
I mean, that's 100% correct, but that's not what people are doing. So you think about it, what a wallet is digital identity. It's who you are and how you represent yourself. But what people are doing is they're starting to make fatter and fatter and fatter wallets where they're like, okay, well, my wallet is more than just a identity of who I am. It's a identity of who I am, plus it's an interface to other dApps. And you become less and less flexible when you start thinking that way. And rather than a thin wallet where the interface itself is a custom experience that can do anything that you want. And that is what I believe that the future of wallets is that it's a thin wallet experience with a way to plug that thin wallet experience into any very robust interface like a web page.
Got it.
Okay.
And then if you think we have so many wallets too, like what about identity by definition is unique, and the wallets by definition are can be infinite. We can create as accounts and wallets as we want. How do we go with that?
Exactly. I mean, that's the actual thing is that if you abstract the different layers of what a blockchain experience is that you have the identity, which is in my opinion, your wallet. It houses your identity, the ability to actually say on chain who you are. Then what you have is you have the interface. That is what you see. That is how you actually interact with it, because the wallet is not the interaction. The wallet is the connection to the blockchain with the identity of who you are. The interface is just the ability to display and interact with the blockchain, but you don't actually interact through the interface. The interface packages the transactions that you pass to your identity so that the identity can actually dictate where it goes. And then what you have is then you have the blockchain, which is the the consensus model to make sure that everybody is in line. So that's kind of like how I envision what the future is, because I envision the way the future is because this is how the internet is. You don't have a universal login that you force all of your email clients to work into. I mean, people used to do that back when you had your email application and then you tried to actually pull in all of the your email protocols or what your email address is, and they went away from that because they went more into the Gmail interface, the Yahoo interface, the Hotmail interface, because by being able to have a more robust, flexible interface, you could actually really tailor the experience and make things different. And that is the way that blockchain should go. And I have no idea why people are trying to force it back to the old school ways of doing things.
So single use networks and just no real interoperability.
I'm not even really talking about interoperability. I'm actually talking interoperability of dApps. Like, let's just talk about NFTs, for example.
Gotcha.
Like, with the idea of that, there is only one kind of NFT. And you have to actually follow this NFT standard to be able to be considered an NFT, just so that this one interface can actually display what your NFT is backwards thinking. Because all an NFT is a, like I said, once again, on-chain ownership, a immutable way to actually have a trustless ownership. And do you really want to actually have your real estate NFTs in the exact same interface that is very not flexible to what your art NFTs? Because I sure don't. I want to be able to, build a hangable wall digital TV that has an interface for all of my art to cycle through. I don't want to, every once in a while to throw up, my apartments that I'm making money on because they're also an NFT. There should be different interfaces, and it makes sense that they're different interfaces.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
multiple identity, and do you think we can build something to bridge those multiple identities or not? Or is there a technical way?
So I believe that what you're describing is a feature, not a problem. Being able to actually have multiple identities online that can be distinct is something that I think is actually valuable, as long as you can actually have reputation backed into these individual personalities that you have online, or identities you have online. Because there is definitely benefit in privacy in being able to be a certain individual or be multiple certain individuals, as long as, once again, there is collateral that is attached to it. So there is pain if you do to mess up, but does there need to be actually a pain that stems across every single one of your potential identities? I don't know for sure, but I could definitely see a world where a separate identities is actually a great thing. I mean, let's just look at the who's listening right now and how many people have a anon identity on here. Yeah,
everybody, I guess. We all have an anonymous identity online. That's true. But the thing is that will governments let that happen, or is there a way to preserve the privacy of a completely new identity that I create in a minute, like I can do on a blockchain, and still work in a legal framework?
I mean, does the government have the right to know every potential thing that you do, and every personality that you have, and every thing that you have actually touched in? I don't believe so. I think that they have some right into some identity, but they don't have the right to everything that you are or ever will be.
That's interesting. You could think of like a ratio that they wouldn't cross. Like we could out like a certain number of accounts, but it depends again. What do we do with those accounts? Like that's because we can access, like for instance, if there is a completely decentralized that is completely illegal, we could access it very easily. Like it's so easy to create like a new account on a blockchain. It's not. It would be interesting how things would go.
Well, depending on how that is, I'm pretty sure there, as time goes on, maybe there'd be like features where we could add like, like when we're trying to find like a reputable, like, dealer, for instance, and stuff like that. There's actually going to be like a way to like, rate it, almost like comments, like consumer reports, etc. And maybe, depending on how these features are, one thing I had like in mind, because I was always trying to think about how can I build like a different social media than, most are trying to do. And naturally, being a holder of the token can actually add as a way of identity for these things. So kind of like how you say, like how you could be, and then you could build yourself through reputation.
Yeah, reputation definitely needs to be attached to your identity, even if there are multiple, because brand new identities that you can spawn up, especially in the blockchain space, should not have the weight that a tried and true identity has. It's funny that you bring up social media. I think last week I told you guys that we're starting the Better on Blockchain, video series.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
being launched on Monday, and the first one will be rideshare that we talk about. But last night, Jay and I recorded social media or decentralized Twitter, and that will be next week.
Whoa, I'm so excited about
Nice.
that. That will be next week,
Yeah, I am too.
right?
What was the question?
Because a decentralized social media, I feel like it's just something that could, like, if it's done right, it can go mainstreams faster than, it's something that can move really fast, in my opinion.
Maybe. The issue is that once again we addressed this in the in the talk. It's about an hour long, so I apologize, everyone. But yeah, the hard thing about decentralized anything is that you have to build the proper incentive structure, and I mean specifically social media. Decentralized social media has a higher danger of Sybil attack. So you need to make sure that you incentivize in a way that is Sybil resistant, and which is really hard. And to grow appropriately, you either need a lot of money or you need a lot of incentive. I feel like a social media or decentralized social media is something that will actually probably grow slower rather than faster, purely because of just how difficult it is to get the incentive structure correct.
I agree with that, because that's something that, like you said, the incentive structure is like the hardest part without it being, like you said, corrupt in some kind of way by a bot system or, just numerous different ways.
Right.
And like I said, when it's done right, I feel like crypto Twitter in particular, I wouldn't say like all of social media, but crypto Twitter in particular would move fast to something that is done correctly. Brave is like one example. I know lots of crypto Twitter jumped on the Brave train really fast, especially when everyone saw how well it worked.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like you say jumped on the Brave train, but relatively to the rest of the centralized world, it might feel like to us, us crypto nerds, that it blew up quickly, but compare it to mainstream applications, it's not even a blip on the radar.
Oh, exactly. But I'm saying that, getting crypto getting the community as like crypto Twitter evolve is a really good first step, in my opinion, because word of mouth is the most powerful advertisement there is to this day. And if someone truly believes in it and enough do, then others start to believe in it as well.
I agree. That good old game theory and network effects.
So I'd just like to mention the fact that Chris mentioned crypto nerd. So I just want to get that out there. So thanks for the accidental shout out.
No problem.
Right. Secondly,
we have the real crypto nerd.
The real crypto nerd. The microphone is working now. So I'm wondering, I'm curious. So how do we make sure that we separate? So let's say our Algorand address is connected to our ID in some way, shape, or form, and we're talking about social proof, recommendations and scores for responsiveness or social engagement or whatever the case may be. But how do we separate that from financial transactions if that is also associated with some kind of public facing Twitter-esque type of a deal? Is that why we would have separate wallet addresses? Because you don't want to know, like, if we start using Algo or whatever ASA comes along, I don't want everybody to see, like, hey, what did I buy at Walgreens yesterday? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you 100% have different identities. This is what I was kind of talking about earlier. Because of the nature of the transparency of blockchain, you're going to want even more multiple identities that have weight and reputation, each one, but they have their own weight and reputation in their own bucket. This is one of the things that I actually believe, as far as DID goes, is that tying a DID, digital identity for, sorry, I hate when people use acronyms, tying a digital identity to a singular real world identity, like your social security number or just who you are, I feel is very dangerous. because it allows for people, anybody, to be able to view your entire life. I believe that the future of digital identity is time and reputation based, where it's not necessarily you're not risking your personal identity that ties everything together. What you're risking is the time and effort you put into the building that identity. So you think about it, the only commodity in the entire blockchain space that is not easy to actually to build up is time. Is that if you look at it, it's like, okay, so if I built this my reputation over 6 years, that's impossible to replicate in faster than 6 years if you actually use time as a commodity. So I believe that once again in the future, you're going to have multiple identities, that time is one of the biggest factors to actually the reputation of that identity, that then actually tie that into the on-chain activity builds who that identity is. And now that identity now is, you can actually use that identity as collateral, because the value of that identity is 6 years, 10 years, 100 years of time that you could not actually just manufacture, because of the aspects of what blockchain is, with the immutability and just everything of that sort.
This is super interesting because it's a new way to define what is a person, because we kind of now have multiple identities, and it's true that even our own identity, like the real one, is based on it's a social construct in your community, and we can build different ones in different platforms. So we, even in the same, like in Twitter, we can have, for example, accounts and build two identities that are not directly linked, and the value of each one depends on the production, the time, the talents that we brought to the community, to the Twitter community.
But Bilal, I mean, you say it's new, but let's get philosophical here real quick. What makes up a person? What makes up an identity?
I love it. That's my field. So
I mean, if you think about it, like who are you really is like the question that you're asking, and I believe that everybody is the collection of their past experiences and their actions. So if you look at it that way, it's like, yes, we make it easier to tie a single unique ID to a person, but really what that represents is who you are, and who you are is actually what you have done over your lifetime. But you can't really know that not on chain. But because of blockchain, you have the ability to actually know these things. So why do we need to go back to a unique ID rather than who you truly are and as what your activities and your experiences?
Yeah, I totally agree. I truly believe that we, in real life, we already have, like in the physical life, multiple ideas, and people also will have different representation of who we are, and be considered also multiple ideas. And digital life and real life doesn't have much difference in terms of multiplicity of ideas. And we can have I can have my own autobiographical life, like ID, like by my memories, but people will build their own identity of myself and of others and of themselves. So it's truly a world of multiple ideas. I completely agree with that. And I'm not defending like to bring all ideas together. I'm just saying maybe that's what governments need to do. That's why we have IDs, because they want us to be one person, to pay taxes, and to be responsible for our actions. So the whole justice system needs a unique ID to be tied to a physical body, to an individual. That's my only worry. Like, governments have other goals than individuals.
I mean, the thing is, like, why? I mean, yeah. So like in the real world, you have one identity to make things easier. But when everything is transparent and everything is, you can see what's going on, why do you need one ID to be reputable to a government when every one of your personas can have its own same amount of reputability to the government in its own way? I mean,
It's interesting. You mean the government should recognize the multiplicity of ideas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where it's the government would actually recognize the different personas of an individual and appropriately govern and regulate them all in their own individual way. That's
That's interesting.
rather than as a whole on the individual. I mean, welcome to my TED talk. I'm getting real philosophical with things, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, that would be incredibly interesting. And yeah, that's an incredible idea, actually.
I think it is a little reminiscent, and we'll get kickback because it sounds vaguely like the Matrix. I've got one ID where I'm Mr. Anderson in the Matrix, and I've got a full-time job, and I pay my bills, and folks finance wants to finance me, and and I pay my rent and algo, and all that's on chain, and I've got another digital identity where I'm Neo, and maybe I don't want the government to know that I play Fortnite 8 hours a day, or whatever other activities that you have, that you want to keep separate. How do we balance those two?
But you should still be responsible for you playing Fortnite 8 hours a day. But
Yeah.
the responsibility should actually to be limited to that persona. Linking it to a different persona. I mean, like I think that there will be repercussions, and there will be linked eventually from like persona to persona when there's a incredible crime related. But at the same time, like they find who you are, and you're arrested and thrown in jail. You're not going to be able to have access to your other personas anyway.
That's the point. That's exactly the point, because the government, at the end of the day, they will make you pay for your action, and to make you pay, they can either take your financial sanction or physical sanction. And the physical sanction has a centralization aspect of it because they have one body. But the financial aspect of it, we could, for instance, like if we go with the ideas, we could find like someone being like being sued and having to pay with one persona, like a kind of sanction with one persona, but not with the other. That would be we would have to divide the personality.
So Steph just joined, or maybe joined earlier. He's the creator of Darkroom that we were talking earlier. Steph, I was saying really nice things earlier. If you missed it,
Added. Well, Steph, please, the microphone is yours whenever you want, my friend.
Yes, we're very intrigued, sir.
You might not even know, but Steph, some prominent community members was bad mouthing the style of NFTs that you were creating, and I kind of went off on them. And at the beginning of this meeting, I also went off to just everybody that was willing to listen.
Maybe while we're waiting for Steph, new topic for anybody U.S. based. There's this new bill that went in that had buried in it some implications maybe for crypto, specifically crypto exchanges, and any transaction that was over 10K. Did anybody see this or get any news about it, and have any feelings on it and what's going to happen?
No, I did not hear about that.
The new bipartisan adjustment to the the infrastructure plan had buried in it a plan to get 2.8 billion or something from crypto.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these are just bullshit tactics. I come from I used to work in a different regulated industry. I'm also used to be an attorney, so it's just pure. I mean, how are they really going to enforce this? $10,000 is a standard thing anywhere you travel. 10,000, deposit 10,000, and you still have people smurfing. And so you can't really. I mean, yeah, sure. I can see exchanges, give more information of people that look like they're trying to smurf. But at the end of the day, 10,000 is not really crazy. I mean, anywhere.
Let me interject there for just a second, because I think a bunch of people may not understand the smurfing term. Smurfing is what you do when Chris has multiple personas, and maybe each persona does $5,000 transactions to stay below the limit. So you just break it up into smaller transactions. And yeah, you're right. I think that'll happen.
I mean, that's a Sybil attack.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you weren't quite finished with your thought there.
I think he got the bug.
All right.
It's all around cyber attack. You're right, Chris. It's the possibility to divide identity
Another thing is called
as much as we want. It's very
It's
interesting.
called structuring. Structuring is a crime. Structuring means it's and avoid all trends. So that's structuring, and so that's normal. I mean, that's I don't know why people are so blown away by this. It's not a big deal.
Sorry, Aram, can you repeat, please, because the connection was not right. We couldn't hear you the beginning of your sentence.
Yeah, sorry. It's really not that scary. It's totally normal for this to happen. You know, and if you go to a bank and you deposit more than $10,000, they will report to the IRS. They fill out a special form and they report to the IRS. It is not scary. It is total standard practice. I live between the United States and I live also in Australia, and it is, you know, they have different standards. They have a much higher number. You know, I think it was like 50,000 that they have to report, 50,000 Australian they report. So it's just different, but it's nothing out of the ordinary is what my point is. It won't change anything other than people freaking out who think that they can, you know, put $100,000 and try to hide it. That's, you know, that's kind of ridiculous. Now, what it won't be, what I can't see how that's going to be enforced is non-custodial wallets. I don't know how governments are going to be able to track them. Are they going to start just banning wallets with tornado cash? Like, how are you going to KYC a non-custodial wallet? I just don't see that happening. You know, they can KYC that you're sending money to someone, but how are they going to say, well, I sent money to someone, I entered the wrong digit, they went to another wallet, and I don't know whose wallet that is. Oops. Like, how are they going to be able to maintain that? I mean, I think that's a little ridiculous. That I don't believe. But structuring is a crime, is a federal crime. And, you know, it happens all the time. People get busted with structuring all the time. You know, it's not something kind of out of the ordinary situation.
I think it's one of those
Thank
things where
you.
we got to take the good with the bad. You know, I think that increased scrutiny and government regulation is a sign that the asset class as a whole is maturing and gaining attention. And at this point in time, like, some of that attention is good and some of that is bad. And any kind of clarity, I think, is a good thing at this point in time. Now, I hate to see the U.S. fall behind some other countries, but clarity is good.
Problem is clarity can be constructed in one country, but blockchain and internet is by definition global. Like regulation of a country is not even harmonized with any other countries, and I think we won't see any. Like, we can. I don't know if technically we can see a global regulation.
I support these regulations, to be completely. If we want to be, if you're in crypto and we all want to make money. I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, we're speculating on speculative assets, and you know, the X's here make sense, right? I mean, I traded OTCs for a long time, penny stocks, and you know, it's like, you know, junk bonds kind of. You know, it's the whole point is what's your pain tolerance in your investment? You're rewarded in that. And if government wants to step in and say, hey, look, you can't try to use this to hide funds, I think it's not something to be like, oh wow, we have to be bearish about it. It's a bullish sentiment. That means they're taking the crypto class seriously and they're seeing this as a real asset. And I support any kind of regulation that solidifies you know, people being able to invest more openly. I don't think that's an issue. What I don't support is them trying to go after, you know, non-custodial wallets, because that's like, what are they going to do? You know, it's kind of ridiculous how they're going to try to stop that, because are they going to create a like, they're going to seal us off from the rest of the internet? Like, how you can't stop that? You know, it's kind of unstoppable.
Well, I think they're mainly just more focused on the stablecoin issue, and that could be seen by Jerome Powell's talks. You know, especially you could tell like he's very focused on a digital dollar by everything he's saying. And I think that's just them wanting to control, like, I guess, you know, the source of liquidity, you know, for the main part of the crypto space, which is stable coins, which I can agree with that. I mean, We got to make
Well, what
sure,
if I told you it's a little different than that? Well, I've had conversations with, people at Solana. I'm pretty close to a lot of people there. It's more than that. The government can't keep buying repos. They can't keep the qualitative easing up. How much longer can you keep, buying debt? At one point, it's just impossible. So what if the situation actually turns and says the reason that Powell is trying to create the digital dollar is not because, they care, but they have to basically save the economy from going completely underwater. By collateralizing debt and issuing a dollar against it, they're single-handedly saving themselves from complete collapse and letting people get into liquidity. So if I'm a bank right now, I would love to be able to sell my bonds in crypto, because it opens my liquidity to the whole world, not just singled off Americans or investor type class individuals. Now I have anyone that can come in and buy some debt from me, and that helps my books. And that's where I see everything going.
Yeah.
That's where I see the digital dollar going.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's what Algorand is going to do. Like there is the CDM, like that's the goal.
Looks like Steph is back as a speaker.
Welcome, Steph, please.
Yeah, is it working now?
Yeah,
Loud
man.
and clear.
Okay. Well, what do you want to know?
What you building and why is it awesome?
Everything.
Well, the smart contract or the smart NFT basically has everything you need to operate it built in. So you could technically deploy it yourself, start the auction. It will handle the full auction and then the full payout, the royalties. So you technically wouldn't need even the art room to do it. Now, of course, you would need some coding knowledge to actually send the right transactions and deploy them. But there is basically nothing I'm special doing on my side other than sending the right transactions to the contract to enforce the royalties and the auctions, which is pretty cool, I think.
It's very cool. And
Yes.
it's also great that you're actually branding it Smart NFTs as well, because that's the other company I'm working with that is doing the same thing, is also branding them Smart NFTs.
Yeah, I think that's the most accurate name. They have basically the stateful equivalent of a ASA, you could say.
What made you decide on Algorand?
Well, mostly the very good developer documentation, and the transactions are so cheap. I actually found Algorand more as a use to transfer my Ethereum. I was mining some Ethereum, and sending it would cost, at that point, was the last high, and it would cost €5. It was a lot of money for me. So I tried to find a way to send it with less fees to the exchange to sell it. So I was looking to all available tokens, and Algorand actually was one of the ones with the lowest fees. So I thought I'd start using that. And then I wanted to make some application, and from one thing came another, and now I'm developing on Algorand.
I recommend everybody here that's part of the Algorand, the fam, is give Darkroom some love on Twitter. Let people know about it. The most exciting thing about it is that it's different. Is that most of the other NFT marketplaces on the space right now are using ASAs, and this is different, and that's special. And people should actually talk about it.
Have you guys released your own token yet, or no?
Not yet. The first one to make the general experience for the users and the artists better. We have limited time to do everything, so that will definitely be something for the future and not in a couple of months, so to say. That will really take a
Okay,
while.
well, I just followed you. I'd definitely be interested.
Hey, Steph, Monty here. I know you and I are going to have a conversation a little later on today, but I want to get this question in now. So anything new is sometimes scary, and and anytime there's change, there's a little bit of a adoption that has to take place there. So can you walk us through the transfer of ownership? Let's say I go in, I win the bid. How does that exchange happen now, and how is that different than if it was an ASA, let's say?
Well, it's mostly different in that you don't actually receive anything. If you buy an ASA from someone, he actually sends you the token, you see it in your wallet, and it's then transferred. But with the smart contract, you're now just the owner of the contract, but the contract still lives in the nodes, not in your wallet. That's actually not it.
So
Okay.
let me jump in there, Steph. I think that you're selling yourself short a little bit, because truthfully, in blockchain you never receive anything. Like when someone sends you algo, you don't actually receive algo. When someone sends you an ASA, you don't receive an ASA. All it is an online mark in the ledger of something changes. So even with the ASAs, you're not actually receiving anything. It's just that there is discoverability, which I talked about earlier before you jump on, is that is one of the downsides of not having ASA. But I then talked about how that's actually a fake feature that people really don't really want. They just think that they want it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So when you win the auction, I now personally, but anyone can send this transaction. You need to send a atomic transfer with the right royalty payouts. That's how we enforce that the creator and the marketplace get their royalties. And when anyone can call it that transaction, because you only need to pay the 4,000 micro algo fee, and does not really matter who sends it. And when that happens, the owner property in a global state is changed to the highest bidder, and he now has control over it and can start an auction again.
Okay. That's really interesting, especially the royalty factors. How you can keep earning.
Yeah, there's a 85-10-5 split. So 85% goes to the owner, and then 10% to the creator and 5% to the marketplace, in this case, the art room. When on first sale, so when the creator is still the owner, it's a bit different than it's 85-15, because there's no difference between the creator and the owner at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's beyond intriguing. Thank you for building something like
That's
this.
definitely interesting. As well, how will you fund the hosting, for example, of that pretty large original artwork in image for the rest of its life? At some point, someone needs to pay to keep that on the internet, and with royalty payments to the marketplace throughout its life of the NFT, you basically fund the hosting of it.
But let's take it to the next level though. Like let's keep that expanding. So rather than actually having like an 85-10-5 split or whatever it was,
Yes.
one of the next things that I'm sure you will do, and I know that people will do, is you'll actually tokenize the actual royalties, where the future royalties of the NFT are now tradable, because because the number of tokens that you have would equal the percentage of the royalties that you would create. And now you throw those up on an AMM or something of that sort, and like that becomes really powerful, because now you have game theory. Now you have actually ownership in the potential sale of the future of that NFT. So you're now marketing for it, because you actually get to promote it. So like smart NFTs are the future. Being able to actually build in this type of logic is what is going to change the world.
Definitely agree with that.
have a general question about NFT. Like, maybe Steph and Chris can help me with that and can help us understand. Like, if I can't enforce law on the protection of the content that's online of an NFT, what is the value? Like, how can we protect, for instance, the movie or the music or the piece of art or anything? Can we protect it like? Can we program a kind of protection? Is it possible?
I mean, I can answer that. Or Steph, you want to answer it? It's up to you.
Sure, go ahead. I didn't really clearly hear the
Sure.
question.
So Bilal's question was, could you apply DRM to an NFT? And the answer is 100% you can. And how you would do this is actually one of the things that I think that it's going to completely create an entire new industry of tradable digital media. I think this is probably going to be the next talk that I'm going to give is in this space. But the idea is that the future players of digital media, be it like a Netflix or your Spotify or what have you, is you'll tie the players to your wallet that you actually own NFTs. And NFTs will be the designation of ownership of the digital media that is, of course, tradable. But when you want to actually listen to it, the first thing it would do is check your identity to make sure that you actually have access to that. And if you have access to it, it'll give you a encryption key to listen to that song for a certain amount of time. And then it'll be then it would actually, like, you'd be removed after a certain time. But what this will allow you for is that you can now sell your NFT to somebody else. Like, think of this as like an album. I buy an album, I listen to it, either I like it or I don't like it, but either way, I want to resell it. So you resell it to somebody else. As soon as you actually resell it to somebody else, the original license holder receives royalties for that because they get actually a portion of the resale. And when you actually trade it away, you no longer yourself can actually listen to it through that player. The new person can. So this is when I think I talk about all the time is like what makes me really excited about blockchain is not when it lowers the cost of or lowers the cost of traditional existing companies, are when blockchain creates entire new industries that never could have existed before that. That's when blockchain will become really, really exciting. And this is one of the things that I think is coming in the near future. I know it's coming in the near future because I'm working with people doing it.
Thank you so much for your answer. This is the best answer I got about this point. Can you explain a little bit DRM? Like, what is it in details, please?
So DRM stands for Digital Rights Management. It exists right now. This is why when you actually when you watch Netflix, you can only watch Netflix through Netflix, and it's the same. It's the exact same technology. It has nothing to do with the blockchain. It's just the player itself returns the thumbs up that you have access to that individual file, and then everything it still works the same.
And we can program that into an NFT, like a smart NFT, like I said, right?
So you don't actually program the DRM into the NFT because that would be extremely inefficient. All you're really doing is your representation. You're showing that you have ownership of that NFT, which that NFT ownership is the rights to listen to a song or watch a movie. And the player will actually then say, "Oh, you have rights to do this. Here's the key to actually watch it, and you're good to go."
And the player can be decentralized, right? Like we can have multiple places where to find the content.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really It's what that is that is a large amount of centralized entities. So like you could have a common standard that would allow you to actually be able to listen to it on a bunch of different players, but the players themselves would be a centralized utility, and that's okay. Blockchain's goal is not to decentralize everything in the entire world. Blockchain's goal is to actually decentralize the rails that everything runs on, so it's a more fair playing field.
I see. So we could completely imagine.
Yeah, I agree with
servers.
that.
Sorry. So Steph was talking.
Sorry. No, that the way he explained what decentralization means, I do that same kind of explanation a bunch of times. The issue is not to decentralize everything; it's to decentralize the means, the rails of something, not actually the product itself, in my opinion.
Yes, yes. My question was about the protection of the product. So the centralized entity will have to be in charge of the protection, right? They would be connected to a blockchain. So they have to be connected to a blockchain.
Right. So it would be like in this example, it would be that what is decentralized is the ownership of the thing. Just like think about it this way: is that say you decentralize VIP passes to Caesars, right? So you create NFTs where you have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to buy this NFT. You can't decentralize watching a live show, but what you do is you go to Caesars and say, hey, I'm going to go watch Weird Al, and they scan your wallet. It shows that you own the NFT, and they let you in. That's impossible to decentralize because it's a real world thing, and this is an example that the base ownership of the rights to do so is what is decentralized and not what is built on top of it.
Awesome. Got it. I think Steph got disconnected. Yeah.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Can you add on that? Like, can we imagine like new ways? Because I'm trying to understand like how NFT can evolve. Like, when you call it a smart NFT, how smart can it be? How big? How different can you build it compared to the one we know now?
You're asking how large the contract can be?
I mean, how many new functionalities can we see in the future? How can you imagine the future?
Bilal, you're actually breaking up a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the question for Steph to answer. So I don't think he's asking how big the contract can be, but he's asking how powerful can the smartness of the smart NFT be? What is the potential of a smart NFT?
Well, that's mostly dependent on the data you give to it. There will definitely need to be some, how do you call those? Oracle NFTs Oracle smart contracts that provide some data to make it more powerful. Otherwise, you need the user to provide almost everything. You can already call other smart contracts to get some state from there, but it would definitely need to be, it's definitely mostly dependent on how much data it has access to. In the contract itself, there's only logic, but you need to feed it some info to apply that logic to.
Could we, let's say, lease out access or grant access on like a per view or per listen level? Let's say somebody comes up with a Algorandster, right? And it's a streaming service, and I want to say, okay, I own the rights to this particular song, and I want to put it on Algorandster, and people subscribe to Algorandster. Would somebody be able to grant access and make royalties in some way, shape, or form on that?
Yes, that could be possible.
I think really the way that I would actually put it is to answer your question with a question is the question would be, what is the potential of a smart NFT? And I would say, what is the potential of the internet? We don't know. The internet can do anything within restrictions, but those restrictions can be worked around. So what smart NFTs will do eventually is going to require creativity and innovation, and really the potential of what they can be. Nobody on this call right now can actually tell you what that potential is because it's unlimited.
That's the beauty of everything we're involved in right now. Unlimited. It's just as much as our imagination will take us there, I guess, right now.
Exactly. And just be very put a fine point on it. And what Steph is doing with Darkroom is the first step to that unlimited power. He broke out of the walls, the actual box of what a NFT is, and and even though he's not fully harnessing everything that it will ever be, it is the first step to show other people, or even himself, to what the potential of what a smart NFT can be. So we as a community should be applauding this way more than what we have already, because what he's built is awesome.
Yeah, it's mostly ignorance, even for myself, because I can't even imagine the potential of a smart NFT. So that can explain why people are not so excited, because you need a lot of understanding that you obviously have, and I think that's the main problem. We need just more education.
B, I wish I could understand what you were saying, but I think towards the end there, I think you mentioned something about, hey, we just need a bigger audience and we need more, acceptance, I think, and you got to take that first step in order to get adoption.
Well, I mean, the fact that he's even allowing the platform for the creativity to be made, is just, that's just beautiful. And I'm excited to see what can be made off of his smart contracts.
100%. I was talking to a buddy last night who's a musician. He finishes a gig at House of Blues, and he's like, man, I think he had he gets a cut of the door, and he's talking to me about just all the trials and tribulations he has to go through as an artist, and he's got to pay publicists, and he's got to pay social media manager, and all this all these extras. And then he starts asking me about NFTs out of the blue. Someone who doesn't really talk to me about crypto at all starts talking to Monty about all these NFTs, and he's heard about what Ditto is doing, and has a bunch of questions. And I think that more people like that who are not crypto nerds that hear about this, the better. So I think it's up to all of us to continue to share, and what Chris was saying, get behind projects like Darkroom and get that information out, because we tend to be in a closed ecosystem here, so to speak. So when we share something, like, number one, we got to get ourselves on board, and then number two, go share this with your non-crypto personas. So everybody who's on here who's got a personal Twitter that's not crypto nerd, then go share that kind of stuff on your personal, and get some of that information out there. You don't got to tag all of us and let everybody know that you're a total crypto geek, but I think that the more we do that, the better it will be, to kind of creep out that information to all those other personas.
Yeah, especially the more that we build more use cases, like you're talking about with music, and there's with the creativity that we can do with this, there's no telling what other, use case that could be made from this. And as more people get interested and more people hear about it, the more people will actually, explore themselves outside their own creative interests and maybe to others, And that's just, like you said, how we use our voice to help, spark the interest before people get in.
Yeah, I just saw John hit the stage, and he's not traveling to Miami this week, so maybe we can actually catch a few words, huh?
Yeah,
yes.
How you guys doing?
Welcome.
Yeah, sorry I hopped in late here. I'm so funny, literally buying NFTs as I hop into this NFT conversation. I don't know, do you guys participate in any OpenSea auctions at all? Anyone? No?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I'm really trying to convince all my ETH friends to hop on to Algorand. So I've just been tagging, Darkroom, stuff like that, Zestbloom, all of our sites. I'm trying to connect the two communities because they're really not far apart. Everybody just likes good art. I would really like somebody on the Algorand chain to make a generated, like an algorithmically generated series, like something like CryptoPunks or World of Women, or anything where you just take certain attributes and then subscribe certain probabilities of of those attributes popping up. I don't believe it's that hard to do. It really just takes, somebody, I don't know how many weeks to do it, but I would be buying those things up left and right.
The hard part would be doing the art and non-blockchain piece, just to actually make sure you're actually creating cool looking images. The blockchain piece should be super simple.
Yeah, and a lot of people have, open source projects that you can kind of just copy and paste. All you need is just new JPEG images. And like you said, that is the hard part, to make them all, cool looking and unique, and then also make them fit correctly. So they all look clean.
Right. If anybody wants to do that, and just focus on the art part, and want help doing the blockchain piece, I'll find you somebody and the funding to actually make it happen.
I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Maybe I could post that to the Reddit, the Algo NFT marketplace, or the Discord, or see if anybody else is interested. Try and connect them to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is not BS either. I promise you, if somebody comes with a cool way to algorithmically generate images, I will find the person and the resources to actually build the blockchain piece.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
Because I find that I mainly can collect the series. I don't, I did buy the one-off chessboard, but that's just because it's Algo, and I'll buy any Algo NFT that, they put out. But on Ethereum, I'm only buying series. I really don't buy one-off pieces. I don't know. I think it's just the illiquid nature of a one-off piece. You need to find somebody else who really wants that piece as much as you. Where if it's a series, people don't mind trading, one piece for another piece, because they're all kind of the same series.
The chessboard did look awesome.
Yeah, I don't mind shelling out, I don't even know how $800 or however much it was trading at that moment, but definitely worth it. It's a piece of Algorand history, so I'll probably never play on it because I'm pretty bad at chess, but I will keep it in my prized possessions.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're not sure what we're talking about here, I think there were only 10 of those made, if I'm not mistaken. It was a pretty limited number, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think there's a possibility that one of those boards might actually be used in the World Chess Championships, right?
I believe so. I think I read there was 14. I may be mistaken as
14.
well. Yeah, that's what I thought. They announced 14, so
Yeah.
I applied like an hour after they posted about it, and I thought I wasn't going to get the reservation, and they didn't contact me until the day after that I had actually won. But
Yeah, I'm like you.
Man, that's
Anytime
cool.
there's anything with Algo in it, even if it's just a certificate of authenticity, or like no matter what the relationship is, I want to try and support that project so that more projects, more opportunities come up that involve the blockchain, even if they don't necessarily directly involve it in a as highly functional way as we'd like sometimes. Did anybody see the Lofty offerings? And there was a little bit of controversy. So somebody who wanted to invest in Lofty, and Lofty does this fractional ownership thing. I think they give like 1,900 shares or something to buy a property. Well, they post the address of the property so that you can do your due diligence, do a little bit of research. Well, all of a sudden, you got somebody who says, okay, well, I want to do a drive-by and go look at this property, but I don't know if there were or were not tenants in it, but I don't know if I'd want a train of people like rolling past my house if I'm renting a house. Did anybody see this and catch that?
That's really funny you said that. So I showed my girlfriend, hey, look, I bought 5 5 tokens of this house. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? And she's like, can we go look at it? And I'm like, no, we can't go look at it. It's in Ohio. And but yeah, I guess that's the natural inclination, is to be like, well, if I own it, I want to go view it, or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just not sure.
Well-
Like, should we try and protect those folks? I don't know what Lofty's going to do with that, if they encourage that or discourage it. I don't know. It's just an interesting problem you didn't think of ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you got like 500 landlords or so,
Yeah, it'd be quite overwhelming.
yeah, that's a tricky one right there.
So one of the things that kind of addresses this is like, or actually one of the questions that people ask is, how do you appraise a illiquid asset? And there's a company out there called Upshot that is actually tackling that very thing.
How are they going about it, if you know?
So the idea is that they're decentralizing the process of appraising a asset and then rewarding the people that are correct. It's I mean, they have a very large white paper, and the people behind it are super smart. But you should check them out. I think it's one of the best ways of doing it so far.
Interesting. Yeah, but post that in the chat. I really would like to dive deep into that one.
This is so. I'm building a real estate platform, or trying to build a real estate platform on Solana right now, and I've seen Lofty before, and it's actually a really good idea. We had a kind of a different approach to what we were trying to do, but we've been in so much legal situation. I have no idea how Lofty is able to do this.
Yeah, join the club on the legal side.
So, as an attorney, former attorney, but B, as in we had legal counsel. We were trying to do, the idea behind what we tried to do at Asterix was, and we have white paper, but is allow anyone, you, whoever, come to the platform and say, hey, look, I'm building a house, or I'm developing this, or hey, this is my house that I'm trying to, remodel, whatever it is, and allow people to invest, right? I mean, that's the whole point of decentralizing investment, right? That's like the whole idea, is allow someone who never had exposure to a real estate project in New York or New Jersey, or I don't know, wherever, and allow them to invest in a piece of it, right? And the whole point was it's not us, it's not me, like Labs, saying, hey, we're doing this project. It's anyone, and going onto the platform and saying, this is my project, this is all my documentation. And so it was such a nightmare in terms of okay, well, how do we do the dividends? How do we do, what is it? What is it? Are you owning an NFT? Well, okay, what about the marketplace? What about KYC? What if this guy is a complete rug pull? What if it's completely fake? How do we validate that? What happens if there's an earthquake? What happens if there's a fire? And so many things, so many questions. It's like a black hole. And I've invested in Centrifuge. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. It's called Tin Lake. And they allow you to invest in collateralized real world assets. And so that kind of inspired me on the real estate play. But they do anything like invoices, cargo shipping, whatever it is, anything that they can basically allow people to invest in. And so, but it's such a dark spiral hole of so many questions open up in terms of liability. It's like, how do you even solve that? It becomes how do you say, yeah, these developers are actually on time and on target building the house that you invested in, or they're using the right materials. How do you validate that? It's just so insane.
When you connect the physical world to the digital, it becomes kind of insane, and one example that you brought up was NFTs, or collateralizing NFTs, or just collateralizing anything really. But I've been thinking about this a lot and how to come up with a solution for it. But I think that if you could lend up to 5% against your NFT, so say you have a CryptoPunk worth $1 million, you could take 5%, a loan for 5% against that. The reason being, like, if you took, you know, say your CryptoPunk is worth $10 million and then you take a 10% loan against it. So you take a $1 million loan, and then the crypto crash comes, and, you know, the SEC cracks down and everybody has to get rid of everything. It just, as an example, your NFT could go to zero. It probably wouldn't, in my opinion, but it could. And then who's on the line for that million? You know, with like a house, they can come and take your house. At least they could resell it. But what if they came and claimed your CryptoPunk and then couldn't resell it?
Well, I mean, that's what everything. That's the thing. You know, like, you start conceptualizing this. Okay, what is everything worth? What is this house worth to you? Why is it $3 million? Oh, it should be $1 million, in my opinion. I wouldn't live there. It becomes kind of like this whole barter system. But we're so used to these norms being normal because of just real life that we just, you know, it's like what artwork's based. You know, I helped a lot of people, you know, cheat taxes illegally is a self-appraising art. So, for example, you're really rich, you have a massive tax you have to pay. You're like, how do I get out of this? Well, you start a foundation. You self-appraise your own artwork. You bought some artwork that's rubbish. You have some appraisal that comes there and says, you know, this artwork's worth $20 million, in my opinion. You write the piece of paper and you use that and you file taxes and you pay less taxes. It's really kind of insane, but I mean, it works. It's the same idea. This CryptoPunk is worth $5 million because Three Arrows Capital owns a shit ton of them, and now it's because they own it. That's what it's worth. Okay, well, tomorrow it might not be worth that. Who can, like, what do you do? What do you do? That's
I'm not
how
sure. I like, you know, that's what I mean. Like, you can't go off the highest bid because anybody could just pull that bid out at any time. You know, that's kind of the current, like, that's what people are building with it in mind. Like, there's already services out there trying to build this, like an NFT lending service, because there are people with such huge capital gains on these NFTs that they don't want to sell them, and they'd rather just take a loan against them. And they actually feel that's a safe thing to do. They think that's rational. But if you told that to like an investment advisor of any caliber, they would tell you you're absolutely insane. It's kind of like Michael Saylor telling people to, you know, remortgage their house and buy Bitcoin. It's along the
But you're
lines,
laughing. That's the truth. That's the you're
it's
laughing, but it's real.
It's really along the lines of insanity, though. Like, for anybody to actually do that, it's just so reckless. Like, if you can't get the gains unleveraged, then you shouldn't try and reach for them. That's just my 2 cents, though. Not financial advice.
There's no room in this space for reason. So watch it, John.
I guess so.
Let's
What do
see
you guys
here.
want to talk about?
Let's
Let's stop talking about number go up stuff. That's boring. Let's talk about building cool shit.
Yeah. So how's your automated market maker coming, Chris?
It's coming really well. We've so one of the things that I've actually decided to do is that in the very near future, I'm going to do a IDO on the actual testnet and let people buy my fake coin with their fake algos on the testnet if they want to. But they have to actually do it through a command line. But that's like, I mean, why haven't I done that already is because with AVM.9, there is I apologize, I'm going to get too technical for a lot of people here, but AVM.9 has a 700 opcode restriction that is preventing our AMM right now to actually launch on Algorand. I mean, because, you know, deploy on multiple different chains. We can deploy on other things, but since we're going to be deploying first on Algorand, we're waiting until we can fix that. So we need the actual code is done. The blockchain code is done to have a fully operating, discoverable AMM. It's just that we don't have the interface, so we still need to actually build the web interface for it. But I'm not going to wait until then to actually kind of show it off. So we have to see if we can actually optimize the compiler to reduce the number of opcodes just enough. We're actually just over. I think the limit is 700, and the smart contracts that I'm putting out is actually like 701 is actually the thing. So we need to re-optimize. So I'm crossing my fingers, knocking on wood that I'll be able to actually have a real cool demo this week.
Oh, that's beyond exciting, man. Excited to see it, man. Especially just the fact that we can actually, provide liquidity with our algo now and not have to worry about doing it on Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, this is going to be fun. I'm going to probably create the Chris coin or something like that, sir, on the testnet. So if anybody wants to buy the Chris coin with testnet algos, pay attention.
Will do.
I love it. Are IDOs the wave of the future? I mean, is that the process that you think is going to stick around?
Yeah, I would say that the thing is, people keep changing because people are scared of regulation, so they're kind of keep twisting things and saying, and lawyers come out, no offense to AirTX, lawyers got a lawyer, and kind of keep changing how best to do things. I think it's a way. I don't know if it's a legal way. I think that token releases will continuously change until the U.S. comes out with a in stone way that is regulated that they approve of.
I don't agree. Who cares what the U.S. does? Honestly, who cares?
U.S. citizens sure do.
Sure, and sure, U.S. of course, I get that, but at the same time,
I don't know about you, but I don't want to go to jail.
No,
personally.
I mean, no one wants to go to jail.
Yeah, same.
Jail sucks. But the point is that
I'm with you.
But it's a little bit more nuanced than that. For example, I have a lot of experience in the cannabis space. Okay, and this crypto, I'm telling you, has so many similarities to that industry. You'd blow your mind. I mean, if I give you examples, you'd be like, wow. It's like every VC is jumping in, crazy valuations spiking, no income, there's no money. There's tons of money everywhere, but who's really making this money? Where's the money going? It's all very similar to the cannabis business before. There's half thought out regulation. There's regulation in certain localities compared to other localities, and it's very similar in that terms of way of regulatory affairs. The banking system, same thing. Even now, in the United States, there's no real banking solutions for a lot of these places. They're looking to crypto, honestly, but at the same time, they're scared to jump in. So yeah,
They really are.
Yeah, of course they are.
Because I lived in Nevada for a while, and when I wanted to go purchase some cannabis, I had to pay cash only. I wasn't allowed to use. Yep, because they can't connect to the banks because that'd be federally illegal, and they have to pay all their employees in
Nevada's also
well.
created a state-run bank, and so that's not connected to. It's not FDIC insured, and they do their own thing. But it's very similar, right? I mean, we're talking about very similar things. I would not want to be involved. I would not want to be in crypto and be in. Right now I'm in the U.S. because of COVID. But I would not want to be based in the United States for a certain business. It just doesn't make sense. As great as it is, the money's still going to come. It just, who cares? Who cares? Well, everyone will move to where it's the best and easiest for them to be. I mean, that's how I envision everything. It's like you just need really a computer. It's really what it is. And we've dealt with
or a smartphone.
Yeah, we've dealt with a lot of projects who are building, right? I mean, because we've been, we do investments, and we are mindful of well, we're based in Hong Kong or Singapore, or a lot of them are coming out of Eastern Europe because they have really strong programming skills. You know, Latvia, Russia, Georgia, you know, Estonia. You know, a lot of them, you know C. You know, very kind of strong languages that they can build stuff on, and it's like those countries are very friendly to crypto. Maybe Russia isn't, obviously, but the other ones are for their own personal reasons. And so I can see a huge transition of people wanting to get citizenship there. You know, like, you know, I'm an Australian citizen. You know, Australia's right now so far isn't really against crypto. If anything, a lot of projects are being built right now, you know, in Melbourne and in Sydney. And so, you know, it just kind of localities matter, I think, especially in crypto.
Yeah, I've been personally thinking Portugal.
Or Portugal.
Greece.
Soccer.
Malta.
Yeah, Malta. Malta's a little dangerous.
I'm going to stay in the United States.
What about Yieldly? We haven't touched on Yieldly, and I don't think we talked about it much last week.
I mean, news was a little slow, but we do got the updated roadmap now.
That's right. A bunch of TL4 stuff, huh?
Where did that?
Yeah, lots of.
What's the story of that updated roadmap and like their little snark with the existing NFTs?
Not quite sure yet about the existing NFTs. I might be the gifts they pre-made.
No. I'm talking about in their roadmap. One of the things that they called out was they will eventually work with NFTs that don't have the opt-in issue.
I'm not sure about that one. I need to get with them.
The laborious opt-in issues, I believe their words exactly.
I'm not sure. I will definitely get with them on Telegram about that. I need to try to get one of them on here one day. But I'll definitely look into. I didn't get into that one. I was more focused on the bridges aspects and them all being written in TL4 and them rewriting the Ethereum bridge back into TL4, which is going. And then once they start building TL4, they're going to be able to have like an auto compound coming pretty soon, and also the staking partnerships. I mean, we got more accurate depictions on this new roadmap, and especially now they actually, you know, said Q1 2022 is when we're going to see the automated market maker. Beforehand, there was just talk and no date. But I'll definitely ask about the NFT next time I'm in the Telegram.
They seem to play things real close to their vest. I think they've learned some lessons. They don't want to announce too much. I think they would rather announce too little and then surprise us when good stuff happens. So I think they're, from my take on it, is that they are trying to under-promise and then over-deliver on some of their stuff. I still think they're going to try and do some kind of a launchpad thing.
Well, our plan is still you know, after we release the AMM, it's up and running, it's used. We will actually release the code to the world for anybody to take and make their own AMM.
Nice. Hopefully they take advantage of that. I'm sure they will. I'm not sure if they knew, but I'm not sure either way. But I hope they take advantage of that.
Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing to a DAO as well.
But
and
yeah, I'm really excited. Oh, for real?
And a lending platform.
That's very interesting. Can you hear me well? Is the sound better now? I'm sorry, I had a problem with a big on my phone.
That actually I could make out there. It wasn't breaking up too bad.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're far less pixelated.
Yeah. What about the XRP escapades with you know, the SEC and what's going on there? Has anybody watched this, and do you think it's going to impact the wider crypto community? I know the XRP army is up in arms about it, and there's all kinds of you know conspiracy theories out there. But what impact does it have on somebody who's trying to play by the rules like Algorand is?
If anything, I'm seeing like obvious connections with us with XRP now, especially with Arrington and all the photos that we're seeing.
Yeah, I agree.
But I believe what XRP is doing is good. and it's good they went for at least an expensive one first. You know, we'll see what kind of clarity they could personally bring, and we'll see what the kind of clarity the government will bring in this kind of case. And I think it's relatively a good thing for the market as a whole.
Yeah, I kind of think of them as falling on the sword, so to speak. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of all their tokenomics, the way they did everything, but the way that they are approaching this, I think that they're fighting a good fight and trying to get out there for everyone. But I'm with you. Like I think we will see what comes of this, and what I said earlier was, I think any kind of clarity is good. Just so we know what's going on, so that what we said earlier, we're talking about all these other places in the world that are fairly crypto friendly, and the U.S. isn't one of those, in a large part, I think, because of lack of clarity.
I'm almost certain this is why Gary Gensler became the head of the SEC. Was to they saw where the money was moving, and they wanted someone that was actually knowledgeable and not going to go in it with complete ignorance in a way.
Yeah, it still seems like there's still a lot to be learned by senators and people who want to chime in on the community but don't really understand how it works, right? So Senator Warren's talking a whole bunch of stuff, and they're putting stuff into bills now, but they don't really understand what the impact is and how big the community is and how big it could be, I think. So I feel like there's just a huge knowledge gap there that needs to get filled in, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, I mean, getting knowledge down to the ground level could solve a lot of the issues, and bring up better topics of discussion. Maybe not in with just them, but us as a nation as well too.
100%. John, we were talking about NFTs, and we got your personal take on NFTs and what you're buying. I like your collectibles. But what about Algodex? What's going on with the main project there?
Algodex is great. It's full steam ahead over here. It's just a lot of work.
Can you give us any news about your trip to Florida yet? That's what I really want to know.
No. No news to share, unfortunately. Hopefully in a few more weeks I'll be able to share some news with you guys. But
all right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, it was great. That was my first time ever going to Miami. It's you can feel just crypto in the air down there. Everybody that you talk to is interested in crypto. Everybody wants to know how to get rich quick down there. And yeah, they really like to flash their money, which I don't like doing, but they're I guess that's just the culture there. But yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Nice. I'm really excited, man, because Alex continually shows previews of the UI and everything, and it gets me really excited because especially how unique your Dex is going to be compared to the rest of the market.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, Alex works harder than probably anyone I know. He hits me up at 6 a.m. on Sundays, and he's that kind of person. He takes absolutely no time off. I at least need 1 day a week to just relax, but not him. I actually don't think he can relax, but yeah, he's chugging away.
Yeah, man, it's honestly exciting because the minute I got into Algo and then watched the Uniswap explosion happen, the entire time I was like, man, just wait till one's built on here and we have synthetics to work with it. It just wouldn't make sense to use anything else.
If you look at the gas usage on ETH, it's Uniswap is usually the number one gas user, and then sometimes number two is OpenSea. So it's honestly the two biggest markets are the exchanges and the NFT marketplaces. funny enough.
I'm-
And then Axie Infinity was up there for a little while. So I guess
I
if
mean,
somebody makes a good enough video game, it can get up there as well.
I mean, sometimes Uni V3 and V2 is like on the top three.
Yeah, I know.
Like I don't think
Yep.
people realize how much cheaper the dexes on Algorand are going to be. It's like it's not like, oh, it's going to be like, you know, half the price or a quarter of the price. Like it's like interacting with the dex on like the dex that it's the fees are going to be ignored because they're so small.
Yeah, it essentially goes from anywhere from a 1 to 10% fee all the way down to practically a 0 fee. Anyone coming from the ETH community, like myself, like as soon as I found Algo, sent some from Coinbase to my wallet, I was just like, okay, I'm sold. Like it's not hard to see the benefit of that. So all you have to do is try it once. That's my belief with Algo.
Yeah, man. My friend was a fan of Ethereum, and like I went over his house. I'm like, okay, let's have a race, dude. Let's see who can get to Coinbase the fastest. And I had fun laughing at him, man.
Yeah, Ethereum is like archaic right now compared to Algo.
I mean, have you guys?
The ETH update is coming.
Have you guys switched over to using USDCA rather than regular USDC? Yeah.
I use it when I'm trying to move money to like MXC to buy like a Yieldly because it's like so much cheaper. But with Coinbase, I still have to use the Ethereum side because they still don't have like a bridge for it yet.
I use USDCA all the time and I love it.
Same. I use it on like from Qcoin to MXC, and it feels so right. Or especially when I'm just like trying to put some profits like into my wallet, that feels so right. But like when it always hurts me when I'm like, all right, I need to move to something because I use my Coinbase card a lot, and when I try to move like USDC to Coinbase, it's so rough. Like I'm like, oh my god.
Well, so one of the things that I'm actually go back to the fees that I'm actually worried about with Algorand is that it's going to be so cheap to create pools that I worry about people, spamming the actual system with pools because it's so cheap to do so. Like people create a token and create a pool for less than half an algo.
What's the issue with it though?
Just
like the network could handle it, right?
The network can handle it, but like polluting the experience is like what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to put in like whitelists in the interface so that so you just don't have over discovery.
Sure. Yep.
No, I
some
agree.
Sort of curation effect.
Maybe that's where something like where you say a reputation will have to be built, or maybe some kind of like a lookout source, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, so when I do my demo of the Chris Coin IDO on the AMM, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna show you from the beginning of creating the token to actually launching it to actually exchanging algos for the Chris Coin, and I bet you I'll be able to get everything done within like 30 seconds.
Wow.
Sounds like we need another Algorand Olympics where we transfer some money across the globe, create an NFT, create create an ASA, and then we have like these various topics or challenges to do. I think we should manufacture this. We should make this happen. Create a couple of teams.
And
that would be funny.
Okay, one thing I'm gonna do just because I have to. We're hiring, so if anybody out there has skill sets in the web development or in just engineering or anything, and you want to work in the crypto space, we're hiring a crap ton of people.
Love it. You heard it here, folks. First, folks. Hey, somebody just asked me, John, what the Algodex estimated launch date was, and I haven't seen an update in quite a while as far as like what our anticipated live launch date is. Do you have a Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 kind of quote for us? Can you give us any news there?
We're pushing for testnet coming this month. But if it doesn't happen until October, don't hang me up to dry. But
you guys are
hopefully
actually
testnet.
Are you guys actually
August,
pushing to testnet before AVM 1.0 comes out?
Yep, we are.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Alex is highly ambitious. So.
There's a bunch of functionality that's coming out with AVM 1.0 that's going to make user experience quite a bit. So we're not going to actually push our decks live until 1.0 comes out because there's like things like contracts, being able to call contracts, that's increased the actual user experience quite a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I would need to discuss with Alex about that. He would definitely know better than me.
It's good times. It seems like very often it's wait, hurry up. In the crypto world, like we try and balance. I think that user experience plus everybody's just so excited about everything, right? It's good times.
Yeah, this community has been hungry for development. I could see it just like on my telegrams and on Twitter. Like people are just very hungry for development.
Yeah, I think it's a function of we've had so many accelerators and so many projects announced, and we hear we hear it always makes news when there's an Algorand Foundation grant, right? And most of the time when those grants go out, it might be a project that might have been up and running, on another blockchain, or maybe it's a project that's not really up and running yet. And so, like we in the community, we don't get any instant gratification. We can't necessarily use whatever it is that they're doing yet. And so there's just a lot of pent-up anticipation from the community in general, I think. So when something like Darkroom goes live, everybody's like, whoa, swarm, right?
Whoa. Reach is usable.
Oh, yes, Reach is usable. Reach is usable. Yes, and we love it. And you know what? Like it's there's just so much more. There's exponential more projects though that are coming out, and you're like just part of the building block. You're part of the foundation building blocks at this point now. So
I'm going to tell you guys something to I'm going to tell you guys to get really excited and pump that algo. We have now onboarded over 1,900 developers and to actually be building things. So that means 1,900 people have actually written an application with Reach, which means that they have the ability to actually launch and run applications in Algorand. So things are coming.
If you build it, we will use it.
Yeah, Field of Dreams.
Right. I can feel like we're right on the cusp of just an explosion of growth overall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing that I'm actually finding is that the traditional developers are getting really excited and they're coming in. And the other thing that I'm actually finding is that traditional developers coming in learning blockchain development, they have not picked their tribe already. They're not ETH maxis. They're not anything. So they're coming in. They don't even actually really think of the protocol. They come in and they say, okay, I'm going to build. So they build something. Then they ask a question. Okay, where's the cheapest, fastest way for me to launch this? And the answer is Algorand. So the large majority of the people that are coming in to actually build on Reach are picking Algorand as the chain to launch on because it's super cheap. It runs fast, and they get the choice. So that's the really exciting thing. And when chains can actually compete by their stats, it's really an easy decision.
I mean, that could be especially like how we saw like Tim Draper making his name on the algo scene. I was really excited about that, and his university being involved in that new accelerator program they're doing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're going to be pretty heavily involved in that, making sure that the people going through that learn Reach really well.
That's exciting. That's getting on the ground level. That's what really needs to be done. Getting people familiar, and familiar of using Algorand at an earlier, stage. There's no telling what could be built in the future.
It's unlimited potential.
I think in the grand scheme, I mean, his portion of monetary contribution was relatively small, but getting that name recognition, that name behind there, and I'm hoping that if this goes well, there's some interesting projects that come out of it. Maybe they'll get some more, some more backing behind that. It seemed to me like it was just kind of tipping his toe in.
Yeah, I mean that's what's important, is making sure that you actually get the word out. The projects are coming. I mean, Dart Room is coming. Algodex is coming, or Algodex is coming. Our AMM is coming. The NFT, the smart NFT marketplace mentor that I've been working with for a while. Hopefully they're going to make the announcement this week. But the actual code and everything is all pretty much done. They're just waiting for legal issues and making sure to actually button everything up before they make the announcement, because like Crypto Nerd said, they're kind of sick of the whole like announcement and then nobody gets to use it for a while. So they're going to actually make an announcement as they release, which I think is going to be really cool.
Definitely very cool. So I've got a few folks who just want a very base level like description of what Reach is. So can you in like just layman's terms spell out what Reach is, what they do, and how they're part of the building blocks?
Yeah. So what Reach has done is we built a DApp programming language that simultaneously lowers the bar of entry and raises the potential of developers. Like what it does is it makes actual coding on blockchain much more much shorter. I'll give you an example. The DEX that we're actually launching, the AMM, that has the same functionality as Uniswap v2, is 250 lines of code. Compare that to, I think, over 3,000 lines of code that regular Uniswap is. So it's much easier, faster to actually write. And then, of course, we also baked in safety into it. So a lot of, if you write your contracts manually, you're shouldering a lot of risk by missing an opcode, doing the wrong thing and leaving a huge loophole. What Reach does is it guides you in the right way of developing things. So when you actually compile, it compiles in a way that is this thing called formal verification. It's formally verified. It's mathematically proven that the code will do exactly as you expect in every potentiality. So it's much easier, much faster, much safer to actually write good quality applications.
I feel like I'm on a Zoom meeting. I was just accidentally still muted. My bad. That is fantastic. So I think some of the folks are just wondering, like, okay, what's the difference? Why do I need to learn Teal? Do I need to learn Python? How does that interact? Is this easier? Is this better? Like, what's the difference? And so you kind of gave us a base level explanation there, which is good. AMM, like, so the automated market maker. What's does that have a separate, how would we access that? Where would we go to when that goes live, and what tokens are involved in that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so an automatic market maker is it's the different from the online order book. John's working with Algodex that is doing the completely decentralized order book exchange. The AMM is more of an algorithmic trading process where you create a pool of a pair of tokens, and then people can then trade tokens based off of that those pools. It will be available just like Uniswap's available. We're in the process right now of going through an entire branding exercise to figure out what the name of this thing will be. Once we actually have that, I'm going to buy a domain, and then people will be able to trade their tokens. Most likely, I'll probably in the near future, we'll probably whitelist it to stick it to just the approved ASAs to actually allow for swaps. But I mean, I believe that most likely the number one pool will be the USDC and Algo, or maybe USDT and Algo pairing. And that way make it very cheap and easy for you to actually swap in a decentralized way between the two. And this will allow people to actually generate yield fees on their Algo and their stablecoin.
That's what everybody wants to hear. How do I do that, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the exact same thing the way you do it with Uniswap or Balancer or any existing MMCU. Somebody creates a pool of a pair of tokens, and then they generate fees based off of the number of actually how often that's actually used, and then any individuals can actually add liquidity to those pools, and then take advantage of the fees.
Beautiful.
Yes, I'm beyond excited about making a Algo Yieldly pool.
Yeah,
I feel like it definitely needs one of those.
Algo Yieldly pool an Algo Fame. I mean, why not, right?
Why not?
The more the merrier.
Maybe I'll eventually actually get me some Fame token.
You never got Fame?
Never.
Like, seriously? Hey, let me send you 10 right now, Chris.
That would be amazing. I would love it to be part of the fam.
Yeah, I will send you from my personal account. Like, can you send me your public key to my like? It's incredible because the thing is that the whole point was the community to reward the most rewarding, the most valuable members of the ecosystem. But the thing is that people probably like their fame so much, don't want to give them like. But the whole point was to have the best community possible by giving to the most valuable people and the most creative members of the Algorand ecosystem. And you definitely sort of like please let me. Very happy to send you 10.
Cool, thank you.
Boomski. Has anybody got any information or can give the group like a quick summary on? I think it's Curve Grid, right? They were part of the same chat that Seb was just in recently with the Yieldly and the Asian Accelerator, I think, right? No, I'm trying.
What was that? I'm sorry, I was taking care of something. I didn't hear the question.
I was trying to figure out if anybody knew anything a little bit more, could explain us, give us the lowdown on. Is it Curve or Curve Grid? They were in that same chat with Seb in the Asian Accelerator.
I didn't get to watch that yet.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that thing. I know Daisy, if you do put together a good summary, but I had to like fast forward just to part of Seb's.
I'm excited about the other Asian Accelerator projects that will be coming out as well too. I know there was one that was like a basket of assets to make a stable coin, similar to like how Libra kind of works, where it could work with almost any denomination of whatever, like whatever you want it to be, whether it be US dollar or like the Canadian dollar or whatnot. It had multiple ways of generating different values to it besides just the US dollar.
There's one thing just so you guys know as well is that I think you guys all know that we were originally building balancer features for an AMM. We still did that. We're just not launching it for V1. If people actually want multi-token pools, we can easily implement those if there's demand for it.
That would definitely be cool. Does the community have any questions or anyone want to ask in? Maybe let's listen again.
I'm watching the chat too. I don't see anything else additional. But it is time for me. I almost will turn into a pumpkin here in about 2 minutes. I got to log off for a little while. I'm going to leave myself on, but just on mute for a little while if you guys want to continue the chat.
I kind of need to go too. We've been on for 2 hours anyways. But we'll definitely reconvene next Sunday if you guys are down for that.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for all the knowledge and the content. It's great as usual, and hopefully AB2 coming here. AB2 gallery, we need to hear from you. Sorry, like maybe we won't stop now. Actually, wait. I would invite you to speak. Please share with us everything you want about AB2 gallery. It's getting big. I am inviting. You're invited to speak, so please welcome, and we are all here.
Could I just ask a meta question here? I'm a bit new to Twitter Spaces. Where can I find the chat?
We were just technically doing under Bilal's post that he made about the actual Algo fam. So that's where we would post everything.
Okay, thanks.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to be heading out unless anybody has any more questions for me that I can quick answer.
No, I'm good. I appreciate all the knowledge you gave us today, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
My goal is to actually educate and get people excited as much as possible, or as much as I am at least. And so Monday the first video of Better on Blockchain is coming out. So make sure that you share that.
Yeah, I most definitely will, man.
We do very minimal shilling, so it's all supposed to be informative. And please comment if you'd like to see more or be able to actually add your own things.
Thank you so much, Chris. I sent you the 10 fame actually.
You sure did. I got it. Thank you so much. I'm part of the fam now officially.
Yeah, you've been like everybody is. It's just trying to really reward somebody. It's a different story because no one wants to reward. People just to be rewarded.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I would love to hear about AB2 Gallery.
He's on Daisy said he's on desktop right now.
Oh,
so he's having trouble, connecting.
Yeah, just from the phone is much better actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why.
We can organize it for next week. We would love to hear more about AB2 because I've seen many friends create NFTs and choosing AB2. So they must do something right.
I had a guy in my Telegram make a yieldling NFT, and he literally sold out in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was pretty crazy. Everyone in my Telegram literally went in there and everyone tried to bought up his NFTs before he could even like properly get them out. And of course he did it all on AB2.
Yeah, maybe we can organize that for next Sunday, same time, some space, and we hear all about AB2. That would be awesome.
Yes, we would love to talk to you and learn more and, you know, hear anything you would love to share with us, man.
So should we call it a wrap?
Yeah, we better call it a wrap, man.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 hours. We're out of subjects right now.
So no questions.
I appreciate the introduction here. You guys have been fantastic with the knowledge on the Algo network. You know, me not coming from Algo, you know, this has been really eye-opening, and it's pretty cool that you guys have these talks. You know, no other network that I know of or blockchain has that, so that's pretty awesome. And you know, I'm very interested in seeing if we can work together in some of these projects, work together in raising for you guys, or connecting you with outside, other projects and other blockchains that we've have partnerships with. So, you know, if anything like that comes around, do message me, or by law, he's got a contact with me as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gave you a follow, Matt. Yeah, I'm interested. And
every Sunday I'll be here anyway, and the community, I think, will grow exponentially in 2022. So we are getting ready for next year.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, 2022 is going to
sure.
be
That's what we were talking about. You know, we're early.
Especially when the new pipelining comes through to like 42K. Like that's going to be fast for a DeFi network that's as decentralized and, you know, secure as Algorand is.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll speak next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Talk next week, same time, 1 p.m. New York time, 7 p.m. Paris time. It was a pleasure. I've learned a lot again, and hopefully we'll learn even more next weekend.